Hey everyone, welcome back to She Birds Podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Nichelle, and today's guest is Rich. Hi, Rich.
Hey, Brooke, how are you? It's great
I'm
to be
great.
here.
Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Oh, it's awesome. I know we had a couple hiccups getting here. I think we had two swings and misses to get to this point, but it's awesome when we can finally connect and find out we're less than two and a half hours away from each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, can you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. Originally from New Jersey, born and raised there. Left
Oh,
in about 1993 to join the Army.
oh,
And then from that period on, I was basically stationed everywhere south or west of the Mason-Dixon line, basically. Did a lot of time in Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, and Kansas, as well as a couple tours in Korea and a few trips to go visit people that didn't really like us in Afghanistan and Iraq.
oh.
So I did 22 years in the Army. I grew myself as a leader. I learned from many mentors. You don't really learn on your own. You always learn from those around you. Village that taught me from early on, my dad, and to those in the Army that really molded me and made me who I am.
Mhm.
And throughout that time, I guess honed my skills of writing by writing reports or writing awards. I never thought it was anything I can do in the future, and that's kind of what I've come to today to learn that I can write, and now I have two books out.
Nice, amazing, amazing. What inspired you to start writing?
I think while I was deployed, I would write every day. I'd write something we did every day, and
Mhm.
that was just basically in case anything happened to me, people would know what was going on. But then I realized what I was doing was creating a biography almost of my life. And
Mhm.
then I would start writing Out of the Darkness, the book that came out September 11th last year. I would
Mhm.
start writing pieces of it all the time. Every time we did something on a mission, I'd take pieces of that mission or pieces of passages and write and say, "This seems like a good story." But then, as you know, most writers, they when they write stuff, they say this in their head. It looks good, but I don't like it myself. So I just said it's going to. If it was on paper, it was thrown out. If it was on a computer, it got
Mhm.
deleted. I went to the next draft. But then I just kept working on it and honing that skill. And finally, this year, I just said, "Hey, you know what? I got to put this on my goal board that's on the wall here behind me,
Oh,
finish Out of the Darkness." And I did that, and I look at that every day. And if you have to look at something every day, you don't want to see it anymore, so you finish it. And that's why I finished the mission.
oh, wow, nice. So let's talk a little bit about Out of the Darkness. I'm gonna bring it on screen. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about Out of the Darkness, your book?
So Out of the Darkness takes us on a journey. Our main character in the book is called Bull. He's a senior enlisted for a team of very successful, highly trained individual men and women. And as the book starts, he's sitting on top of a mountain, hands on knees, weapon dropped across his chest, and he's wondering how he got there and why is he the only one still around. And he's smelling the battlefield, the smoke, the blood. He's sweating. He has mud and blood and sweat all over him. He's trying to figure out what's going on and why he's still everyone else all gone. And then the book goes back to before this happened, how that mission began, takes us on the journey from how they trained up for it. It introduces all his teammates and those teammates who were brought to him from other places, and it takes you on that journey of showing how physically strong they were and mentally tough. And then they come home, and
Mhm.
what do they do when they come home? They have all this energy from being in war and adrenaline. They want to party. They want to have that adrenaline rush, and they start losing people after the war. From thinking about the guys they lost in combat, and now they're dealing with the mental stresses of war and the mental stresses of being in the military. And that's why I
Mhm.
named it Out of the Darkness. And here's the copy here as well. And
Oh,
it shows that not only we build our soldiers to be physically strong, we now have to make sure they're mentally proficient as well. Mentally, their mental health has to be top notch. And when you come home, you need to have that help, that escape, where you're not just going to alcohol, you're not just going to adrenaline rush
mhm.
activities like skydiving or motocross or whatever. And whatever your thing is, don't go just do that. Do something else. Like for me, writing writing was an answer to that.
Mhm.
So all the characters in this book are based off people I knew. None of them are me. They're all combinations of people. Bull is probably a combination of 5 to 10 different dudes and dudettes I got to serve with, had the honor of serving with him, and showed me awesome character strengths in combat. So I put them all into one person, made them into a super trooper, I guess, and then the cast around them is usually about 2 or 3 people in each of the cast around them, except one character is just one person.
Oh, nice. I like how you like I guess contributed facts into your book because of when soldiers do come home, they do have mental illness, a lot of mental illness, like struggling with mental illness. So I like how you contributed that into your book.
And when I first started writing it years ago, that was not even in my mind. That wasn't even in my, I guess, crosshairs to put that in there. But
Hmm.
as when I retired in 2015, I started seeing the struggle, not just for me, but for my brothers and sisters who served. I said, wow, this isn't just I guess, a blurb on TV saying we're losing this many people. It's send us money to help them.
Hmm.
This is actually a problem, and I had to start looking into it. And kind of why I started the podcast to try to get veterans on to tell their story to get that pressure off their chest. And then in the book, I added in there just so that people know that yes, we are tough enough to go to war, but we need to be tough enough to come home and live as well.
Yes, definitely. So I did want to ask you, I wanted to ask you this before we came on, but do you want to read like maybe a chapter from your book or a page from your book if you want to? You don't have to.
Let me pull it up on the screen so it's easier for me to read here.
Oh,
In the book, it's the low light of
usually I'm not like a big huge fan of military books, but it contributes mental illness in it and I'm like, yeah, cuz I'm like I've dated military men before, so I've I've dealt with their mental illness and I'm just like, whoa, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
and it takes a lot for the person doesn't serve or has not served or been around the military much to
Mhm.
understand exactly why they're going through this issue. And
Yes.
sometimes going through doesn't understand why you don't understand it, and it becomes that conflict amongst the two of you. And it's not something you or both either one of you want, and it just happens, I guess, naturally because the unknown in between you that's
Mhm.
happening, and I can understand that 100%. So I'll read the chapter, which I kind of just went through a little bit. I can read that for you.
Okay.
So it's after the forward. It's the chapter called Bull. There was a calming wind hitting Bull in the face. He was exhausted and lost in thought. Time is constant. He knows one day his time just stopped, and he sat there with his head in his hands, trying to figure out where it had gone. The last 14 years of his life in a blur. What has become of him? Where were all his friends? Time does not stop for anyone. His mind was filled with questions about what he's been through, what he has lost, and where he will possibly end up. His pants were drenched with sweat and mud. Leaning against the wall with his trusty M4 strapped against his chest and dangling. The smell of war was all around him, and he can care less. He worried about his team. Are they whole? This was a repeat of many different occasions. Not a bad replay, but a replay at that. He knew this was his last dance with the devil and was taking it in. Excuse me. This was not supposed to end like this, and it was bothering him more than he thought it would. How many times have they been on top of the mountain and working the problem? The scenario was running through his brain like a hamster on a wheel. The team he is on has changed many times over the years. People come and go due to orders, injuries, or being taken from the earth. His head was pounding after being in the fight all day and knowing the cost that has been paid by many of his sisters and brothers. He made friends along the way and led future leaders on this journey. He was always on the outside. He was always an outsider sitting on the inside. He was truly an outcast, a misfit. There was not a mission he could not take on without being successful. And all knew this. His mind drifted to a way different time. He was a young punk on the street of the city. He used to have patience and was caring for others. His life now is in the now. It has to be immediate or it does not happen. He cares for those who were in his circle, but not beyond that. He did not have a ton of stuff growing up. He also never wanted for anything. He was the youngest of four in a hardworking, lower middle class family. They had food and clothes and family. Like most boys growing up, he stayed outside all day. Lights came on in the streets emptied of kids and became a different place. The circle he was in as a kid was tight knit, and he would do anything for each other. They played games in the streets, traditional ones like football, stickball, and wiffle. The list, of course, included manhunt. This would provide useful training for his future, and tag. There were games that were passed on to them from the older kids, like Scalesies. Scalesies was a game that could take hours to play. You had to get chalk and draw out the board. Starting in the lower right corner, the number one is placed in the box. Number two in the upper left, three in the upper right, four in the lower left, five in the top center, six lower right center, seven left side center, eight right center, and nine in bottom, and 10 in top center. When you hit 11 in the center of the board, the player, usually 4 to 6 kids, would have bottle caps filled with melted crayons. It started with metal caps, and then with the introduction of plastic milk jugs, all things went to plastic tops. The players would smooth out the bottom of them so they slide better. After determining the order of play, they would start from the start line and flick the caps toward the number one. If they landed in, they would go again, looking for two, and so on. If they did not make it, they had to wait their turn again. First one to get through all to the last number would win. They had imagination that would be exercised daily, and usually ended up with them going home with scrapes, bruises, and the occasional broken bone. Kids were free to be happy and live a life. But like all kids growing up, he would have friends that, as they got to high school and beyond, would drift away very far apart. There was always a core. There was always a core group of people that stayed together, but most of the group stayed in their hometown or within the 15-mile radius of it. Would leave and become leaders in the military. Bull and Troy were in the Army and Air Force, respectively. Each entered it with different paths. One would be an officer, the other enlisted. One earned his degree while becoming an officer. That is Troy. Bull started his degree pursuit after high school in accounting, then on to management, and even played 2 seasons of college football before making the leap into the Army to get a fresh start. Their careers went on a different parallel to each other, with both being successful at their craft. And that's chapter one.
Wow, that's amazing. What was your hardest scene to write in this book?
I think some of the scenes of the men or the guys or gals dying in the
Hmm.
combat, trying to not picture the ones that my friends that I did lose, and still trying to be respectful to them while writing it.
Hmm.
And it was a little hard to write that without going deeper into it and or making it more, I guess, movie like instead of realistic.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I don't want to ask you this question. I don't want you to cry or anything, but with your experience in the military, did is most of this real? Like some of it, is it a real story? Is it your life?
No, no.
It's not.
This is combinations of many different stories put together. So it's bits and pieces of things that happened that are real, but most of it's military.
Okay. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your podcast as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Or as I stated, the Misfit Nation started as a way I thought would help veterans come on, tell their story,
Mhm.
and maybe get that pressure off their chest so they stayed with us a little longer. Because at that time, the stat was we're losing the, I guess the out front stat was veterans a day were losing to suicide. The actual stat's close to 44 a day we lose if you add in drug abuse or the adrenaline incidents or other avenues of death that they overcome undertaken. I'm sorry. And then after I had about, I think, 12 episodes in, those same veterans came back to me and said, this is awesome. I feel so much better, but we need some other stuff. We need some other tools. I
Mhm.
said, okay, like what? Mental health tools, different areas of mental health that can actually help them, not
Mhm.
just going to get medicine, but actually doing mental health exercises like
Mhm.
EMDR or other avenues within the mental health realm that actually help you without doing any medication. I said, good, I got it. How do we write a book? So I had authors come on from all over the world to tell their stories and how they got their start, and maybe give them tips and tricks, how to get to Hollywood. I knew
Yeah.
one Navy veteran that was in Hollywood, was on NCIS. I said, look, man, you want to come
Mhm.
on and talk about? Heck yeah, brother. He came on. I've had musicians on and lots of entrepreneurs and CEOs have come on to tell how to start a business and be successful. So now we're
Nice.
4 years in. I just produced my 63rd episode on Thursday. and recorded my 387.
Nice. I wish my cousin would have met you sooner because he was a military vet, but he ended up passing away from drug overdose. When he came back from the military, he got real deep into drugs and he ended up overdosing. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I wish he would have met you before, but yeah, um, it's tough going into the military and then coming home because I've interviewed a few military vets as well, and they said that there's like no help for them, or I don't know if they won't get any help or there's not many resources for them. Is there many resources for you all when you leave?
At a at early on when I got out, there was basically the VA or you're whatever paying for a doctor. Now there's so many veteran service organizations out there that do different things to help with mental health. Like some will do just outings. Hey, let's take you out on a excursion. Let's go in the woods and hang out for a few days and sit around the fire, tell your story, get some of that pressure off your chest. And then there's others that do deep dives in the group. They send you to like group therapy and such like that to try to get you more comfortable with who you are now, as opposed to who you were when you were 18 or 19 when you joined the army or the
Mhm.
military as a young person. Just knowing those 19 years that was life, and then you have X amount of years where you became a military member and now a veteran, where you did
Mhm.
everything away every day, and you come out things and you go to war or not go to war, everything still stops the day you. Once you raise your right hand, there's a day that it ends. Either you ETS, PCS, or higher. It's ETS get kicked out of retirement. Sorry, and there's an end to the military, so you have to start preparing for that early. And a lot of people. I was talking to a guy the other day, and we both agreed that a lot of people wait to the last second to start preparing for the next chapter in life, and
That's
that hurts a lot. When you get out, now you're struggling. You're on that run. You're sprinting to try to get that job instead
true.
of already finding a place where you can land for a while, get feet on the ground as a civilian now, learn those ways, and become a better, I guess, person in the community. But as far as a resources, there's so many out there now. Even while the soldiers are in now, there's more resources in now than when I left in 2015, which is a blessing. When I
Yeah.
first came in the military, it was kind of frowned upon for leaders to get help for mental issues. So if you went to that, then you weren't strong or stuff like that. But that has the stigma, I believe, is gone from what I'm seeing from where I work for my day job. I don't see that stigma as much anymore or at all. I see
Mhm.
senior leaders going to get help and telling their soldiers to go get help, which was something we didn't see when I was in a lot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they really, really speak highly on mental illness, not just for the military people as well, but for everybody. Like it's being noticed now. So that's good.
Yeah, it's actually, I guess, a headline topic now. It's not something that's on the slide 52 of a briefing. It's right up there towards the front of the briefing.
That's true. That's true. So, do you have any upcoming like projects or anything? Do you have any new books coming out or anything?
I have the sequel to Out of the Darkness. It's going to be called Forged in Resilience. It's the team, what's left of the team after Out of the Darkness now is growing as a new team. They're going through the training, getting mentally resilient as well as physically strong as they prepare for their next mission overseas. And I'm
Mhm.
about halfway through it right now. So I'm looking for a December release date for it.
Nice, nice, amazing. And you said December release date for it?
Yes.
Nice. So have you ever heard of the guy called Dave Goggins? You kind of remind me of him a little bit.
Oh, Navy SEAL, Dave Goggins.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
he motivates me every day. I listen to him every day.
Yeah, he has a lot of good stuff out there.
Man, you should have him on your podcast so I can listen because he's very motivational. He cusses a lot though, but he's very motivational.
I like when people call my show and they'll curse and then they'll say, "Can I say that?" You just did. So keep going. Just go with it. The FCC is right. Yeah,
So
I'll,
I
I'll
wanted
reach out to them. A lot of them are hard to get on because they have such a busy schedule. It's hard to get them,
yes,
but I'll try.
yes, it is. It is. It is. So I wanted to talk lastly about your 13-step guide to success. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, yes, definitely. This came about because of COVID. 13-step guide to success right here. So for that first year of COVID, every month I make a stupid post at the end of the month about on Facebook saying you made it through this level of Jumanji, you fought this, because every month during COVID there was some insane thing they were putting out that was attacking us or something was going bad going to happen to us. So I would put that on Facebook, and then the last month I put 13 steps to be a better human. My daughter was already published when she graduated high school. She published a book called The Unexpected, and she said, "Dad, you need to put that in a book." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, you need to find that in a book." So I put it in. I started typing away. That was the January, I guess. I started typing, and I finished that probably in October. I sent it to her to edit it. So back and forth between me and my daughter for about 2 months to edit it and get it the right way, the way she said it was right. And we were very clear through that. And we published in December. The steps basically tell you, they're not telling you how to make money. They're not telling you how to become an awesome motivational speaker. They're telling you how to be a better human, how to build a better community. Because during that time we had a lot of craziness going on within our country, and the media was always trying to divide us, no matter what we do to try to divide us. So the 13 steps is kind of a bridge to bring us back together. As we need to be hanging out together. We need to look up when we're walking down the street so we talk to each other instead of looking at our phone. Pet a dog, smile every once in a while when you're outside. Make people happy. If you make someone's day just by smiling at them, you just made their day for that. Probably the whole week. There's like that person smiled at me. I'm gonna be in a good mood all day, and probably tomorrow too. Is that dude or dude that smiled at me? And that's all we want to do with this book, is to make a better inner circle, outer circle, and then community.
That's true. That's true. That's a great book too. So where can my listeners find your books?
You can go on to misfitnation.com, which is on the screen right now. You can go to our store tab, or both of them are on Amazon. 13-Step Guide to Success is just on Amazon. Out of the Darkness is wherever books are sold on the internet. It's there. If you search it, it should come up with it. If you just put Out of the Darkness by Rich Lamonica, it'll come up. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target. I think Walmart has it, which is, I haven't seen it in Walmart, but I think they sell it on the website. If I see it in Walmart, I'd probably just camp by the display and sign people's books as they walk by, or buy it for them and sign it for them. So I was in Walmart, but anywhere online for that.
Nice, nice. So have you ever thought about doing an audiobook for it? Say yes.
There, yeah, I'm thinking about for Outer Darkness. There's one for 13 Step already.
Okay. You said there is one for 13 Step?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go on audiobook then and see if I can get it.
yeah, it's on there. So I did that because my brother, he likes to listen to them while he goes to work. He doesn't like to have the physical books to do it. That's why I did Audible for that one. I learned how to do it for him.
That's cool. So, lastly, before I let you go, what advice would you give military vets that are coming out of the military? What advice would you give to them?
It's a great question. Like I said earlier, once you raise your right hand to join, there's an end date. There's a time you got to get out. So start preparing for the end date as early as possible. I know you got a mission. You got to focus on the men and women you lead, but focus on you to take care of you. Get the free schooling while you're in the military. Use the tuition assistance. Get those degrees you can while you're in, and keep that foot facing forward so you can get out and sprinting when you get out to get into the position that you already love and something you want to have a purpose in. 2, don't be afraid to ask for help. There's plenty of veterans out there. No matter where you're getting out, there's a ton of us that out here, old crusty veterans that'll help you. We will do what we can to make sure you stay on this side of the darkness and are successful in whatever venture you do. So if I don't know how to help you, I know a person that can help you. And my friend, I have a pretty good friend circle that has friends and friends. It's weird work that we have, and everyone knows someone that can do something even better. Use your network and get on LinkedIn. Take your military stuff off there, go on there, the military uniform, get a nice either shirt, a polo shirt, or shirt and tie, whatever you're more comfortable in. Make a LinkedIn profile, because if you're not LinkedIn, you're LinkedIn.
That's true. That's really great advice. I want to thank you so much, Rich, for being a guest on my podcast today and chatting with me.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you for having me.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for for listening to She Blurs podcast. Today's guest was Rich, and if you would like to purchase his book, he said that you can go on his website, which is the Misfit nation.com store and purchase this book, and you can go on Amazon as well. Thank you all so much for listening. See you next time. Bye.